Got some more parts in, and I'm trying to hodgepodge some stuff together to see if I can make something work. Basically, the main issue I have is trying to find connectors to make custom spark plug wires for the coils. Here is a pain in the ass. The 7M GTEs and the Toyota Supras have a very similar style connector in the coils, and like nobody makes their own ignition coil or ignition wires for those engines unless they're doing like LS coils or something. And even still, those are usually off-the-shelf part they just buy for an LS. So that was like hours of searching, and I couldn't find something that was definitive. So just buzzing around looking at other Ford coils. These are for a ZX4 or ZE4 or something, the Ford Focus. And I don't really recognize the terminal inside. It's kind of got like a male piece to it. I'm not exactly sure about that, but this is more of a standard style boot that I could probably get a terminal for a lot easier than something like this. Well, I would say that it wasn't the terminals itself, probably wouldn't be the issue. It's the clasping mechanism on the boot that would be the issue for these. Future me here, and I'm here to tell you that these coils do bolt up to that bracket, which is super convenient. And the challenge that I came to next was these terminals. The terminals that come with these universal kits, they're not meant for this style connector or this style coil. Even the quote-unquote coil connector here just doesn't work. I went to the extremes of even using the needle nose pliers to try to bend these so that they would make contact with the little male nipple inside of the towers, but they just don't work. So it took me a good amount of time to figure out what style connectors or terminals actually need to go in these coils. And for as complicated or for as common as these coils are, I was kind of surprised that it wasn't more common. So we'll see shortly that I do end up finding the correct terminals, but I wanted to save us some time here instead of spending 20 minutes figuring this out. It's already done. I found a seller that sells terminals for these coils, and it had to come from the UK of all places. And there's only like one manufacturer of these. Now what's wild is that this style ignition coil with that male post inside is like standard. Anytime you see an ignition coil like this, it's going to have that post in it. I've yet to find one like that doesn't have that. So I would think that this would be more readily available given that there's so many of these floating around. But that's not the case. You can get a battery terminal for like a Model A or some kind of tractor from the 20s, but these were stupid hard to find. But they do click right in. There it goes. And that's tight. Oh yeah. So these are straight, but they will bend right here at this little cutout. So you can put it in a 90-degree boot like that. So it'll bend right through there. So that means I've got everything I need to finish the coil side of the spark plug wires, and I can keep on rolling. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a test run here with one of these terminals and then try to bend it 90 degrees. And I'm also going to use one of those boots that came with the crimper kit, because they're going to be a good test bed as well, so I don't waste the good ones that came with the Excel kit. So then we fold that back. Then this will get put over the crimp there. Put our crimpers over. Looks like this is a little too wide for these. So I'm going to squeeze these together. Cool. Damn, that's a good crimp. Hell yeah. Okay. Now, how easy do these bend? It's not too bad. It is a little difficult to get it to go square, at least the first time doing it. Alright. That worked. Now, let's see. Hell yeah, it clicked. I felt it and heard it. Hell yeah, brother. Now that that little test run is complete, I'm gonna go ahead and mock the rest of these wires up, cut them to length, and we'll go from there. So these coils are a bit thinner in the mounting tabs. And when you try to use one of the OEM bolts, you can see right there that unthreaded portion, that won't work here. Unless you space this out and with some washers, then you could use it, but I'm not going to do that. So I went digging through my Toyota bolts, and I found some, I think they're M5. I'll put up on the screen exactly what this is. And it's about a ½ inch long, maybe a little bit longer, and it threads right in. So these threads for the ignition coils are in fact metric, which isn't the end of the world, but I only have 2 of these. I don't even know what part of the Supra they came from, but they do work. They are just long enough, and these coils do in fact fit this bracket. Okay, so I don't have this bracket bolted down either. It's just sitting right on the stainless steel hardware. And unfortunately, I may not be able to use the stainless steel hardware in these 2 pad locations because it has to be spaced up so that it meets the pad there. That kind of sucks. Okay, but anyway, we're not talking about that. Coils fit. They fit great. So our leads are going to come up to a 90-degree boot. Right there. Hell yeah, brother. So here's the theory that I've come up with these ignition coils. On the 4-cylinder, 1 and 4 are banked together on these 2 posts. 3 and 2 are banked together on these 2 posts. And they alternate, so it goes 1, 3, 4, 2 or something like that, but it's always alternating between the 2 banks of coils. And when we look at the V8 coils, it's the same thing. This setup is called batch fire, so you've got 1 coil serving 2 cylinders. So these 2 are banked together and these 2 are banked together, and when you follow the firing order for the V8, I'm just going to move over here so I can see it. It's up here on my screen. We start with cylinder 1, so that's here. So this side, 1, 3, 7, 2, 6, 5, 4, 8. So we're always bouncing between the two banks of coils. So if we apply that same logic to these coils, we've got 1 and 4 here, 6 and 7 there, 2 and 3, and 8 and 5, and it works out the same. So as long as the channels are the same on these pins, then these coils in theory are plug and play for this harness. And in theory, you could even do these coils for a factory ECU, assuming you wanted to go through the trouble in converting to this type of coil. I don't know why you'd really want to do that, since you can still get the factory coils, but I guess if you're doing custom spark plug wires like I am, you'll need to do that. So if that works, my later videos of trying to get this thing running, if it doesn't work, my later videos will cover what I did to fix it, if I can fix it. Fingers crossed I can. Well, fingers crossed that this is just going to work as is. So now I'm at the point where I can start figuring out exactly where all these wires got to go and cut them to length. So this firing order image, we've got the two coils here, and we can see pin 1 here, and if we recall, our coil has 1 and 4 paired together. So in this orientation, the 1 is the bottom right, and then when you flip it around, the 4 is going to be the top left. So that one. So our coil, our number 1 coil pack is the one on the right here. So this is also the Ford thing of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 versus 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, whatever. But this is the scheme that I'm going to be following, laying out these spark plug wires. It looks like just normal 90s will work out perfectly on this side. That one's a little difficult to get to, but not out of the question. Maybe I don't see any issue with ceramic boots on this side, as far as like fitment, getting down in there and actually connecting. Now on the other side, where I thought I'd have some issues, I do. Nothing major though. This one, I'll definitely have to cut this band of heat wrap, because it actually interferes. Now maybe with the ceramic being a hard boot, or a hard material, it will just kind of push the wrap out of the way as you're going over, but it might prove difficult. But it is basically touching the header there, so that's definitely got to get replaced with the ceramic. It might scoot on there a little bit more, but I really would feel more comfortable with that one being ceramic. The first cylinder here, pretty clear, free and clear. I'm not worried about that one. This one is in a tight, not really a tight spot. It's pretty straight on, but it is really close to that runner. And this one is not too bad. It is barely touching. So I'm going to go ahead and order a full set of ceramic boots and put them on these wires, this wire set, mainly because I'm just a little overcautious when it comes to this. I don't really want to deal with this shit when it's in the truck more than I have to. So if I can do it now and it's done, then good for me. Now, as far as routing these spark plug wires, this kit, it's this baby's first real V8, so to speak. They were all different lengths, so they had pairs. That a pair for the farthest cylinder, and they all subsequently got shorter. I didn't realize it at first, and I had this all mixed up. But it's actually a decent kit, and there's plenty of slack to get up here to where the ignition coils are going to live. And then I'll start on this side. I'm going to try to source some of the factory spark plug wire clips and just use these points since they're already there. And I forget exactly how they mounted on this side, but I'll try to replicate that as best I can. Maybe they may have had like studs or something on the valve cover bolts that I can't replicate necessarily, but I'll figure something out, because I want these to be, all the wires to come up like this and then go forward so that they get away from the heat as fast as possible. Normal V8 stuff, I guess. So I'm pretty stoked that this laid out as nicely as it did. There we go. So the boots that came with the Excel kit, the ones that I didn't do the test with, were a bit more difficult to get the wires through around the bend. I had to use a pair of needle nose to reach up through and just get it started, so then I could push the rest of it through. Once I got it started, though, the wire went through easily. But definitely you'll need Vaseline or the dielectric grease that they come with to get those wires through the boots. Once I got that done, the crimpers, just like the test, they did perfect on those terminals, and everything clicks into place. You can hear it click when you put it in, so it's good to go. I do have some more retainers or organizer clips on the way to help keep this a little bit more organized. I couldn't for the life of me find replacements for the OEM ones that click on there, so I'm just gonna make do. Maybe get like some zip tie action going on. Not sure yet. I've also got the ceramic 90s on order, so as soon as that's done, I'm gonna put this engine in the truck, and it'll be in there for good, assuming that dent doesn't need to get bigger. But that's another topic. Hell yeah, brother. I started working on the spark plug boots, doing the ceramics, and it works out pretty easy. These, you can just slip the boots off, because the terminal doesn't go take a 90 or anything, so it's real easy to get through. And then just slip the aftermarket boot right on top of it. Like I said, baby's first, spark plug, custom spark plug, so maybe everybody knows that, but I didn't. So that's pretty awesome. And then I also got these sleeves to just slip just over the ceramic elbow, and then give it a little bit more protection. So that side, I just started. This side I've already finished, and all of these go in without too much of an issue. I do want to say, though, these little cheap Amazon kits are pretty decent for, what, like 80 bucks? The little rubber bushings you install, and they even come with a decent terminal. Like, that looks pretty good for China.